Now, can just so that we can kind of go in understanding where we're at, does anybody kind of remember or you know the gist of what's going on in Genesis 18? Genesis 18.
Abraham's like bargaining with God, trying to get the numbers lower for Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, Abraham's bargaining with God. And what number does he stop with?
Stop. 10.
10. Okay. Now, there's reasonable ideas that he got to 10. Okay. He's got 2 daughters that haven't been married. So Abraham says, okay, well, 2 nieces, what would it be? Anyways, those 2, Lot and his wife, those 2. He has a couple of sons, and they're married. And then he has a couple of wives, and they're married. So this is the idea of, there should be about 12. Should be about 12. And so we're going to see how we came to that in chapter 19. So chapter 19, it starts off, and there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Now, I think it's reasonable to say at this point that these 2 angels were the 2 men that left. Remember, there was a group of 3 that met Abraham? And do you remember that Abraham started referring to him as Yahweh? And the Bible begins to describe him as Yahweh. And he begins to take personal decisions of what's going to happen to Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's more than just guesswork here. I mean, the scripture seems to be indicating that this is a time where God was on earth, a theophany or a Christophany, however we want to say it. And where is Lot at this moment? Verse 1.
The gate of Sodom.
In the gate of Sodom. Well, who sits at the gate of a city? Do we know? Elders, people that are very high up. Any kind of problem that comes in the city, you go to this person because, hey, this guy that sits at the gate, we feel he embodies what our core beliefs are here at Sodom. And whenever there's a problem, we can go to good old Lot. And just kind of think how the progression went. Lot was with Abraham. They went to Egypt. When they came back, he had a kind of a desire to be in a place like Egypt. And he started by, you've probably heard messages like this. He started with just pitching his tent towards Sodom, and now he's no longer just looking there. He's living there. He's dwelling there, and he's considered an upright citizen, so that he's in that position. Okay, you would never have somebody in that position sitting at the gate who did not embody the characteristics of your city. He's almost like a mayor, I guess is kind of the better ways to say it. And it says that these guys came into the gate of the city, and there were 2 angels, but they didn't look like angels. They looked like men. Here's another thing. Whenever angels appear in a human form in Scripture, they always appear as angels. They always appear as men. So these nice little cute girls, atop of the Christmas tree and everything like that. I mean, it's really pretty. It's just nowhere in the Bible. There are some other angels in the Scripture that are a little bit more terrifying than looking like men. But it seems like these guys certainly look towards there. And Lot saw them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, "Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house. And tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go your ways." Oh, this is interesting. He seems like he's being pretty hospitable. And why would we say it seems like he's being hospitable?
I'll spend the night.
Yeah. He's opened his home to him, right? He says you can wash your feet. And why does it might feel that he's not being completely hospitable?
Because he says, "Rise up out of it."
Yeah, just get up and go. Okay. Yeah. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? And they said, "Nah, don't worry about that. We're going to abide in the street all night." And Lot pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Now, this is kind of normal. When you have a guest, a traveler, these guys would come through, and Eastern hospitality really is being extremely friendly, of being lavish with their food. It still happens in the Middle East today. You go there and you can go to a stranger's house and they are in abject poverty, but they are going to feed you like a king. And if you try refusing it, it is a big insult. Even though by them doing it, they're impoverishing themselves even worse. Now, in verse 4, it says, "But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both young and old, all people from all quarter." So the men of the city, the men of Sodom, they surround the house. And and both the old and the young. And this has got to be intimidating just to begin with, you know. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, "Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them, that we can have a sexual relationship with them." Now, just to put all the cards on the table, it is recorded that some communities, they did not want foreigners to come in there, and so they would rape them, so that they would tell people never, ever, ever go back to that city. Whatever the case is, it is a disgusting thing for them to do. It is against all sorts of customs to do that to anyone. You are supposed to protect your guests. This is going to sound kind of funny to you, but when the Taliban, when people would visit, the Taliban would say, "If you're here as our guest, we will protect you. We will make sure nothing happens to you," which is very, very interesting, because they had a certain code, and the code is, we protect our guests. And so here, the men of the city want to rape these two men that have come in. And Lot went out the door unto them and shut the door after him. He goes outside, shuts the door, and says, "I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly." What is he calling them? Brethren.
Which is a bit, brothers, basically, it's bad.
Yeah. Come on, buddies. Come on, friends. I mean, they're about to do something crazily despicable, and he's almost giving them a warm embrace, but he is at least standing and saying, this is a wicked thing that you want to do. Now, look what it says in verse 7. "I pray you, do not so wickedly." Don't do, this is not the wickedness you want to do. That's the whole gist of it. And so he offers them a completely different wickedness in verse 8. "Behold, now I have 2 daughters, which have not known man." These 2 daughters are virgins. These 2 daughters are pure. These 2 daughters have been protected. And now Lot is going to offer them up. So he says, I have 2 daughters that have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out to you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Let me pause here for a second. This was not misogyny. A lot of people say, everybody back then was misogynistic. Here's the reality. The Bible records this to show how wicked these people are. The Bible is not recording this to say, this is just the standard where everybody lived in at the time. That's not the case at all. This is such a stunning thing. By the way, again, who is the original recipients of the book of Genesis?
The Israelites.
The Israelites that are in the wilderness. This is a scream out them. Hey, look, these are the people whose land we're conquering. But not only that, but this is what happens when somebody rejects the blessings of God. Look at the decisions that they're making. Look the terrible decisions that they're offering their own daughters. I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine how depraved do you need to be to offer your daughters. And again, he's making a big deal of it that they're virgins, that they've never known a man. He's protected their chastity, but now he throws them. He says, we'll bring them out to you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes, but only these men do nothing. For therefore they came under the shadow of my roof. Do you see where his allegiances are really out of whack? He is trying to protect them, correct?
Yeah.
But you don't protect foreigners by sacrificing your children.
Yeah, sacrificing a guest in your house. The people who live in your house permanently come first.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, even in church, Paul speaks very directly about that. He says if you have to choose to offend a lost person or a saved brother, offend the lost person, which is kind of counterproductive. We're like, no. We'll offend the Christian because they'll figure it out and they'll deal with it. But we don't want anything to get in the way of giving the gospel. Paul says just the opposite. He says, look, if you're going to spend eternity with those people, you've got to treat them as brothers. You've got to protect them. That's your number one ministry to other believers. Here, Lot's ministry has got to be as a dad. And he is failing miserably. Verse 9, and they, the two men, the two angels, said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them. What is going on here? Can anybody pick up what's going on? Who is this one fellow that came in to sojourn? Lot. The men of Sodom are now mocking Lot. They said, you came here as a visitor, you're just a sojourner, and you are now a judge. And now we will deal worse with you than with what we're going to do with these two people. Think about that. I mean, really consider, this chapter is packed with a lot of information. What do you think Lot had to do in order to be considered a judge in Sodom?
Well, he was like an elder.
Okay, he was like an
A
elder.
man of repute, perhaps I would have thought. And to be considered in that way.
How about this? Do you think I could ever be the mayor of San Francisco?
No.
That was pretty quick. Why not?
No, you're not.
Go ahead.
You're not the right orientation.
I'm not the right orientation. I have certain convictions, right? And they're going to come out of my mouth. Any of you, do you think you could handle being, that they would vote you in as the governor of San Francisco?
People's Republic of California, they call it.
It wouldn't happen. So, what do you think Lot has to do in order to be considered the judge for Sodom? What decisions do you think he made?
Liberal ones.
Liberal ones? Do you think it went against his convictions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it went against the way he grew up?
Yeah.
Do you think it went against the way that as he walked with Abraham, the very things that they discussed?
You can see the compromise.
Compromise. Yeah. You see that. Lot is literally compromising the whole way. And the men are even saying this. The men are saying, you're a foreigner. And we've been treating you pretty good. We're not going to do that anymore. Sometimes Christians will bend over backwards to make themselves appealing to the world. And the world will smile and grin at that until it's no longer a leverage. And they will run you over. I've seen in ministry and life where Christians have made compromises to be appealing to those people, and it's always, without fail, has always hurt what they wanted to do in the gospel. And so they said, stand back, and this fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore against the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So Lot's on the outside, and they're just pushing against him. You can feel the tension here, so much that the pushing against him is about to knock down the door. Verse 10. But the men, the angels, put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. So these angels had enough strength to bring him in and close the door. Yeah. Now, verse 11, and they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. What's weird about this?
Well, if you think of being blinded, your priorities would not then be, might have changed. You think there'd be, time to back off.
But they're not backing off. How do we know they're not backing off?
They're still trying to find the door.
Yeah, they're still trying to find the door. I mean, just imagine if for whatever reason you're trying to break into a house because you think that person's terrible, and then suddenly everybody in your group is struck blind. Do you think you might slow down for a second and consider what's going on?
Yeah.
Not these men. These men, I mean, it's not just they tried to find the door, they wearied themselves to get a hold of the door. This is, and again, we're not too far from when Ham, Shem, and Japheth left the ark. I mean, we're a few hundred years, but it's not 15,000. It's not that far. And look how far the humanity has gone.
So I see here they're blinded with lust of lust of all types. I mean, like their anger towards Lot, the other stuff. Is that why their vision going?
So the angels, we know that the angels physically did a miracle to cause them to be blind. They just weren't in a lather. I mean, there was a judgment put upon them. Now, why did they keep on going? It's madness.
Blinded by the lust, so they're not.
Yeah.
They've not noticed that they're physically blinded.
I think why do they still keep going? That's the answer. I don't know.
Demon possessed, maybe?
I mean, it could be. I mean, there is nothing about this that is going to give you a satisfactory answer. There's nothing about this that is going to make Lot make sense. Nothing. And really, if I look at everything about Lot, because we're going to go one more chapter, and you know where we leave Lot? That he knocked up his 2 daughters. Now, if that's the only thing we knew about Lot, I mean, I'd preach sermons about how this man was lost. But Peter says it vexed Lot's righteous soul. It's hard. None of this makes sense. The only thing that makes sense is this is how diabolical sin is. This is just how terrible sin is. Verse 12, and the man said unto Lot, hast thou any here besides son-in-law, sons, plural, daughters, plural, whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. So he says, your son-in-laws, your sons, your daughters, we need to get them out of here. Why? Verse 13, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord sent us to destroy it. I mean, this is very serious what's going on. There's great calamity going. Yeah.
Is the cry of them people that are suffering due to Sodom's wickedness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to be too graphic on this, but generally when it says the cry of them, it is usually referring to children. It is usually referring to the innocents. And that may be even another layer to put on top of this. All I know is that, remember when we got to Judges and I said it's not going to get any better? It's not going to get any better. There's nothing good about this. Verse 14, and Lot went on and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters. So we know there's at least 2 daughters and at least 2 sons-in-law, right? And Lot said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked, or that was joking around with his son-in-laws. Folks, I just want you to grasp this. I want you to grasp the seriousness of Lot's decisions. And no parent can make sure that their child is going to be born again. You can't. It is a personal decision. But I want you to imagine every sacrifice that was made by Abraham and Lot was to help their family. But I want you to see what the end result of these families are right now. I mean, the men that married their daughters, maybe they were, good-looking men, good, strong providers, but do you think they believed in Yahweh? No. And now when this person says, hey, Yahweh says we got to get out. All right, you're having a song. Go get out of here, you and your little religious self. Imagine how devastated Lot is leaving his family. I mean, because these men have said, Yahweh sent us to destroy this place. You've got to get out. And he's begging. Guys, get out. We don't see any record of him going to his sons, and yet a couple of verses before that, we do see the angels mentioning that they have sons. I don't know why it's not mentioned. I don't know if Lot just says it's not going to work. But what's going on here is devastating. Lot's religion was a joke to his family. Every decision, every compromise had a debt, and that bill was coming due right at that moment. Verse 15. And when the morning arose, the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest they be consumed in the iniquity or the judgment of the city. What did the angels tell Lot?
Take his wife and daughters.
Get out
Actually,
quick.
get out.
Get out quick. Take them.
Yeah.
Get out quick. Now look what Lot does in verse 16. He lingered. Why would he linger? I mean, do you see why, as we're looking at this, going back to what you were saying, Sally Ann, nothing about this is reasonable. And they lingered.
After all that, he lingered.
He lingered. I mean, but this is the same man that thought, well, let's make a nice compromise and give you my virgin daughters. Yeah.
Am I reading it wrongly? It looks as though he has at least 4 daughters, because in 8 it says 2,
Correct.
unmarried, and then in 14,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
Married.
So he has at least 2 daughters that are unmarried,
Yeah,
2 daughters that are married with at least 2 son-in-laws,
yeah,
and we have Mr. and Mrs. Lot,
yeah.
and then it says that he also has sons.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if they weren't married, there's at least 2 of them, and that makes 10. And again, that's that bargaining point that we were talking about before. And the shocking thing is, they say, get up, we got to go now. And he lingers. He's still having his cup of tea.
It clearly likes some of the part. He likes some of the things that are there. He's obviously got an attachment to some of the
Yes.
stuff there. He called them his brethren. They're obviously, some of them are going to be his mates. He probably likes his cushy life.
There
He
is
likes being in charge.
there is
He likes it.
an expression that sometimes as preachers we talk about, and maybe regular people do. We're like, when the Lord calls that person home, they're just going to be trying to hold on as much as everything while the Lord is bringing them up. Their attachments are so heavy. They're trying to grab. Some are going to be disappointed in leaving. This is a frustrating chapter for me. And yeah, you're right. He is attached to some things going on, and he's lingering. And what did the angels have to do? Look what it says. The men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. So one angel has got Mr. and Mrs. Lot by each hand. The other one has daughter 1 and daughter 2, and is dragging them out of the house. The Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth to set him outside, set him without the city. What a sight this must have been.
Sorry?
I said, what a sight this must have been.
It was very merciful, the Lord.
Yeah.
After all this
Yeah, and I do like that the scripture takes a pause here and says, God's being really merciful here.
This is high level,
Yeah.
iniquity, but sin, isn't it?
Verse 17, and it came to pass when they had brought them forth that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Okay? I mean, we got to go, and we got to go far away. We can't look back and linger and wonder what we're leaving. It doesn't matter. Go. In verse 18, and Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. The arrogance of this guy, right?
Yeah. God is incredible. And great mercy.
Yeah.
In the face of
Extreme mercy. We're in Genesis 19:19. And Lot now starts his own little bargaining with these guys and says, behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight. I know you guys are being graceful and merciful to me. And thou hast magnified thy mercy. Lot's now acting like a used car salesman here. He's bargaining and he doesn't have a single chip. You magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. I can't do what you're asking me to do because something bad might happen. Something bad is happening now. And so now Lot is trying to be reasonable. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. By the way, little one is what the name of the city Zoar means. Little. Let me escape to this little place, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee and escape hither, for I cannot do anything till thou become hither. Therefore, the name of the city shall be called Zoar. There's that big argument. They're trying to save Lot, and Lot is saying, I can't go in the mountains. They're weird over there. Let me stay with these really nice people that I know. And if you will, the angel says, okay. The scariest thing in my life is when God lets me do exactly what I want to do. Right, guys? Yeah, when you're trying to bargain with God and you feel like, oh, go ahead. I remember one time Dakota was debating me, and I went, okay, fine, do that. No, Dad. I'm like, I can't argue with you anymore. I mean, it's funny. It just switched, and the angel says, all right, fine, go to Zoar. Now remember, why does he want to go to Zoar?
Because he doesn't want to go to the mountain.
Yeah, because it's not safe up there, right? I like this little place, Zoar. And the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar, okay? Through the night they're traveling, they get into Zoar, and the sun begins to go up. Verse 24, and the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Interesting. The Lord is with Abraham right now, but the Lord is raining brimstone out of heaven. What does this tell you about God?
Omnipresent.
Omnipresent. Yeah. Yeah. He can be in more than one place. Verse 25, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and the inhabitants of the city and that which grew upon the ground. Just decimated it. Verse 26, but his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. I think there's actually two biblical ways that we can look at this. I will tell you the one that I think is right, but I will tell you that there is an ancient idea for this word. The first one that I think is right is she literally became a pillar of salt. Well, Pastor, how can that be? Well, he's already raining brimstone on this place. God can really do whatever he wants. Now, there's also a thought that when somebody becomes a pillar of salt, this is a way to say that they can no longer have kids. I don't believe that's a reasonable view of this. But I just will let you know that that is out there. Okay? I think that the most accepted view of this is that she looked back and She became a pillar of salt. Now, if you ever go to this area, a tour guide will show you where Mrs. Lot is. And she's that pillar of salt right there. I think that would have eroded over time. But just to let you know,
But there are pillars of salt.
there certainly are in this exact area.
Backs up that.
Yeah. Now again, let's think for a second. What is the purpose of Genesis? Who is this being written to?
Israelites.
Israelites. What did they do when they got out of Egypt?
Wanted to go back.
They wanted to go back. Don't go back. Don't look back. Remember, all these statements are not just as simple history, though it is simple history. This is also reminding the Hebrews of what their history is and what they have to look forward to. And people have made right and wrong decisions, and here's some of the decisions that they've made. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Now, what did Lot pray? What did Abraham pray? What did he bargain with God? That he'd spare the city if
10 right.
10.
Then
And what is he seeing right now?
It's going up in smoke.
Yeah. Could you imagine seeing those people in your family that you've walked with? You know that some of them are being destroyed along with Sodom and Gomorrah. This is one of, as a parent, as somebody that, this is terrifying to me. And Abraham's looking out and he sees what's going on, and he knows that his bargaining wasn't enough. Verse 29, and it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. We can camp here for about a half hour. God remembered Abraham. When you see that phrase, again, it's not that God had amnesia. It's that he is now going to act upon a covenant that he made, a promise that he made. He remembered. And it's not that he forgot that. It's just that the decision he's about to make is going to be based upon a covenant. And what was the result of God remembering this covenant? Look carefully at verse 29. He saved Lot. If it wasn't Abraham, Lot would have been gone. Please don't ever think intercessory prayer does not matter. Lot was interceded by Abraham, and it made a difference. Now, it didn't make them all choose the right answers, did it? It didn't make their children automatically become believers. It didn't make them choose right over wrong. But what it did is it allowed God to still show mercy in miraculous ways. Verse 30. Do you remember why Lot went into Zoar? Yeah.
That was nearby, isn't it?
Nearby, little place. Can't go to the mountains. I'm scared to go there. They're mean people. Verse 30, and Lot went out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him. So all this begging and pleading, where is he now?
In the mountain.
In the mountains. Why? For he feared to dwell in Zoar. Again, over and over and over again, God says this, man says, and then man gets the fill of it and says, all right, God, I'll do it your way. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Now let's pause here for a second. What do we know about Sodom and Gomorrah? It's gone. And any kind of people that dwelt in the plains, they're gone. What do we know about Zoar? Small. Scary, at least they think so, right? Scary, and are there people there?
Yeah.
Okay, this is important. Because look at the next discussion. The firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. Now, what's the contradiction right here? Now, first of all, what are they saying? They're saying we need to get dad drunk so he's going to lose control and violate one of us, but we're going to be in agreement to it because we want kids. And if dad doesn't do it, no one's going to do it. And what was their reasoning? No man in the earth. But they just left Zoar. Are there people in Zoar?
Yeah.
This is where there's some nuances in language. I don't think they were lying. Sometimes the earth, the whole earth, is the area that they're simply talking about. That would make sense to me. I don't think they reasonably thought everybody was gone. They knew Sodom and Gomorrah was gone, but they certainly didn't think the same thing as Zoar. But they certainly did believe that there's no one that we can have kids with because we can't go to Zoar. We can't be with anyone around here. There's no man that we can do this with. So let's get dad drunk and lie with him. And so we can preserve the seed of it. Boy, it's so good that they were thinking about dad. Isn't it? You know, dad's been such a good dad. Hey, men, don't bother those angels. Come get my girls. What a twisted family this is. What an absolute train wreck. And you would not think this right at the beginning. Abraham's called of God. Abraham, come on, Lot. Let's go see what the promised land is like. And they went around. And then decisions and compromises and decisions. We get to one of the saddest chapters in the whole entire Bible. Verse 33, and they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, the next day, that the firstborn said to the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father, let us make him drink wine this night also, and thou go in and lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. Are there ever some chapters in the Bible or things in the Bible that you just wish weren't there? And they made their father drink wine that night also. The younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab, the same as the father of the Moabites unto this day. Unto what day? When was it written?
After the Exodus?
After the Exodus, during the wilderness, right? Why mention the Moabites?
They're going to be in the promised land.
They're going to be an issue, right?
Yeah. Big issue.
Yeah. They're laying down a foundation not because it was an incestuous decision they need to get destroyed. It's more of, do you see what happens when we don't listen to God? Do you see what happens when we fight against God? Do you see what happens when we try to make our own decisions? Has anybody ever taken part of a Passover Seder? No, okay. A Passover Seder is a meal. You have lamb, you have different things going on. One of the best things in a Passover Seder is like an apple chutney that they have. It is so good. It is so sweet. It's so wonderful. As a kid, when I would do a Passover Seder, I loved that part. You know what part I didn't like? Bitter herbs. And it'd be like this, I mean, it was just like fire in your mouth. And we as kids, we would take like a little leaf off of it and just kind of stick it in. You had to eat some of it. But the men didn't. The men would grab a big handful. Tears just running down their face. Why? Why does God say you need to eat the bitter herbs? Because there were times that they had to be reminded that things were not good in Egypt. They had to be reminded of that when they look at their wrists, they see the scars on their wrists from their chains. And they see how their kids or their grandkids don't have these scars. And it can seem really, really appealing to go back because, you know, at least we know what's going to happen. And that's why God says, take the bitter herbs. Remember what Egypt was like. Remember the pain that Egypt caused. You look at this chapter and it's just so terrible. And God preserved it so that they would know it. And the younger, verse 38, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same as the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So you have this terrible chapter, and we can almost pinpoint it to where things started going downhill, not when Lot first compromised, but when Abraham first compromised. Okay? Any questions about chapter 19?